Hey, everybody, it is week 6. It is Packers Bears week. We got some stardom and sit 'em questions. But first of all, I want to start off with something that I can't believe that I'm about to say. But are the Chargers going to the Super Bowl? I know it feels weird to say that. And I know how that statement or question actually will probably make you feel. And listen, I'm as guilty as anybody of this, but every time the Chargers have the slightest bit of success, you can't help but look at it a little bit skeptically. Like when my first grader, when she is sitting there doing her homework by herself, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm proud. I'm thrilled. But you can't help but be like, what is her angle? What is she really after? What's going on? Like, what is going to happen? What unknown doom is about to present itself? And normally that's the way I feel about the Chargers. Anytime that they go out there, they're winning some games, things are going great for them. I expect them to just fall apart. Exactly. You're like, it's very nice that my daughter's sitting here doing her homework. And then you turn around, you walk into the kitchen, she's got a Sharpie pen out and she's decorating the kitchen walls. Actually, my boy did that this week. But it's a different feeling, though. I will say this with the Chargers right now. It's definitely not the same. I mean, the week 2 home loss against the Dallas Cowboys, that was vintage Chargers. That was, Chargers being Chargers. An inexplicable loss that should have never happened. Then they won over the Chiefs, and you're like, okay, fine. They've beaten the Chiefs before. Famously, a Thursday night game, the Chargers went up there, beat the Chiefs. You're like, okay, this has happened before. But then they had that huge win against the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday night. They went up by 21. But even then, you thought that Derek Carr was going to rally them. You thought Derek Carr was going to get into like, oh my God, Derek Carr is going to make this a thing. Never happened. The Chargers ended up kicking their ass. Then last week, right? Was it last week? I'm missing a game. But they also had that game against the Browns, and they fell behind by a number of scores. And I thought, like, oh, here it is. Here it is. Chargers at home, coming off a huge win over the Raiders. They're going to go out there. They're going to implode again like they always do. And I'm going to talk shit to these Charger fans. I'm going to let them know. And then, thankfully, I didn't tweet anything out. The Chargers they rallied to win. Like their kicker, like when their kicker, Vizcaino, who is it? Whoever. Is he still on the team? Is Tristan still on the team? Probably not. When that happened, I'm like, that's perfect Chargers right there. Even though the whole thing too, like even when they were trying to do the right thing, like Austin Eckler trying not to score a touchdown, the Browns still did him a favor and they picked him up and carried him into the end zone. Like Austin Eckler couldn't even do the right thing. He's trying not to score a touchdown. The Browns carried him into the end zone. And again, in years past, that would have ended up with the Chargers winning that game. Like a perfect Chargers moment would have been, hey, they tried not to score a touchdown. Eckler gets carried into the end zone. Baker Mayfield throws a desperation heave into the end zone. Odell Beckham Jr. catches it on the final play of the game. Chargers lose. But now the Chargers are winning these games. And it's a different vibe. It's a different feel. And they got another great game, a great test this week against the Baltimore Ravens to kind of go against this point. But I got to say, listen, this Chargers team just feels different. And it starts with quarterback Justin Herbert, who had 398 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. He ran for a score. Justin has 11 touchdowns and no picks in the Chargers' 3-game winning streak. It is already the 11th career game with at least 300 passing yards, the most such games by any quarterback in their first 2 seasons of the Super Bowl era, joining Dan Marino and Patrick Mahomes. And I know the Chargers have had great quarterback play in the past. They've gone from future Hall of Famers, Drew Brees, to Eli Manning, to Phillip Rivers. Justin Herbert, for whatever reason, just feels different. He just does. And you know what? And a lot of you didn't want to draft him in fantasy either. And I talked about Brandon Staley here a moment ago, but this guy is a completely different coach. He is 7 for 8 on 4th downs this season, including twice on Sunday. You will forgive Chargers fans if they're not familiar with this feeling because Charger coaches, the history of Charger coaches has been very conservative. So when you introduce somebody like Brandon Staley to them, it's kind of like the first time you ever give somebody sriracha. They're not ready for it. They don't know exactly what is going to be happening. I mean, let's think about this. Marty Schottenheimer, for years, was derisively referred to, or his play calling was derisively referred to as Marty Ball. Super conservative. Ironic, though, that if they had used Marty Ball in the 2004 AFC playoffs, they'd probably beat the New England Patriots, win the Super Bowl, whatever that is. And no disrespect to him, because I love Marty. Very conservative. North Turner was whatever. He sucked. And then you had Tony Lynn, who one time punted in field goal range, or at least Eric Stengel, the former late night writer. He tweeted that out. I feel like that feels accurate. And shit, am I forgetting a Chargers coach? God, there's a guy in between them, right? Oh, goddamn. Yeah. Mike McCoy. Mike McCoy, but completely forgettable. Like forgetting that Matthew McConaughey was in Ed TV. Actually, no, bad example. Ed TV kicked ass. That was a great movie. I apologize to all the Ed TV stands out there. That was a great movie. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a McConaughey movie that was forgettable. I can't think. They're all great. McCoy, though, like Ed TV was ahead of its time. Mike McCoy certainly was not. The Chargers, though, are now this ballsy team that takes risks. They play football in a fun way. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but it's more enjoyable than what the Rams are doing right now. It's kind of like the comparison with like the Rams are WWE and the Chargers are AEW. Super fun. Every game feels like a playoff game. Everything feels like an event. Every time the Chargers play, something exciting happens. And they look better than the established brand they're competing with. And I don't know. Are they the AFC favorite? I don't know. And I know, like, this is weird because you're either coming here for fantasy advice, you're coming here to talk about the Bears. We're not talking about either one of these things. Do I trade here? Hold on. Sammy's got a fantasy question. Do I trade Brandon Cooks? Don't play Brandon Cooks. Don't trade Brandon Cooks. You want to play him this week. Brandon Cooks was disappointing last week and probably for the last couple. Great matchup this week. This is a bounce back game for the Houston Texans going up against that Colts defense that has given up 11 touchdowns to wide receivers this season. They've given up 15 touchdown passes, 11 to receivers. So we're going to play them. But anyways, Mitch, let's start the show. Although the show is actually already started, and want to get into a couple of things here. It's time now for shit you need to know. I could call it stuff you need to know, but listen, I'm not on the NFL Network right now. I can work a little blue. Let's start with Arizona and Cleveland. Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield will face off for the second time in their young careers. They are the only pair of Heisman-winning quarterbacks from the same school, Oklahoma, to start against each other in the NFL, and the second pair of quarterbacks selected number one overall from the same school to start against each other in the NFL. Somebody asked that question to me, and they're like, do you know who it is? And I correctly guessed. Stanford, Jim Plunkett v. John Elway back in the 80s. I know a little something about NFL history. I'm just saying. Also, we've also seen other number one quarterbacks go against each other. Troy Aikman. I don't know. Wait, what? No. Anyways, that's going to be a huge game this week. Also, Kansas City, Washington. Everybody's expecting this to be a huge game. Patrick Mahomes leads the NFL with 16 touchdown passes this season. So you're like, oh, the Chiefs are fine. They're not. Mahomes is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw more than 15 touchdown passes in his team's first 5 games and have a losing record. Isn't that crazy to you? I would have said no, that's had to have happened before. But no, Patrick Mahomes still out there lighting it up. The Chiefs are not winning football games. The previous 5 quarterbacks with at least 16 touchdown passes had a combined record of 23-2. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What the hell has happened to this Chiefs defense? Was it ever good? What has been happening? What is going on with this Chiefs defense? It is almost historically bad. And I swear to God, I don't know if you can hear the kids that have congregated, who are congregating outside of my window. Where are these kids? Nowhere to be found. Then all of a sudden they see the lights come on. They're like, let's go hang outside of Rank's window. Because deep down, kids are jerks. No, I don't mean like the neighborhood kids are now gathering around. By the way, going back to the Chargers, Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson each rank in the top 5 in the NFL and have averaged 300 passing yards per game this season. Their matchup on Sunday will be the first time in week 6 or later featuring opposing starting quarterbacks who have averaged over 300 passing yards that season entering the game. It's the first time since Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs took on Jared Goff and the Rams in week 11, 2018. I think we all remember that game. Mahomes and Goff combined for nearly 900 yards in that game. It was incredible. Some other shit you need to know. Mac Jones has completed at least 70% of his passes in 4 of his first 5 games. 4 such games is tied for the most in an entire rookie season since 1950. The only other rookies with 4 such games in the last 70 years are Justin Herbert last year and Dak Prescott in 2016. It's fun. Cincinnati Bengals, Detroit Lions in the next gen stats era, which is since 2016. No rookie has led the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, or receiving touchdowns on deep targets. That's 20 or more air yards in a season. Jamar Chase leads the NFL in all 3 of these categories. His 4 deep receiving touchdowns already tied the record for most by a rookie for an entire season since 2016. Let's take a look at the Monday night game. Derrick Henry made a statement by running for 238 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 30-9 Thursday night football win over the Jaguars in week 14, 2018. Starting with that game, Henry has accumulated roughly 4,800 rushing yards over his last 4 games, the most by any player over any 40-game span in NFL history of anybody. And remember coming into this draft season when everybody was like, oh my God, I'm not starting. I'm not drafting Justin, or I'm not drafting Derrick Henry. Regression. Oh, you desperate people. I told you, Derrick Henry. By the way, if you ever see our commercial on NFL Network for the NFL Fantasy Live Show, and I'm saying this human being is just built different, or whatever the hell I'm saying, I was talking about Derrick Henry, and I was telling you to draft him. I know that I get shit wrong. I was correct on Derrick Henry. By the way, let's talk about the Packers and the Bears real quick. Justin Fields is the only rookie starting quarterback with a winning record, 2-1 this season. And I don't give a damn about your fantasy team. I don't, like, normally I would be right there with you. I could care less. Justin Fields is 2-1. His one loss was that embarrassing loss to the Cleveland Browns when they did not remove the training wheels. But here's the thing. Could he beat Aaron Rodgers and vault the Bears into first place in the NFC North? Rodgers is 12-6 in his career against rookie starting quarterbacks, including 5-0 against rookie quarterbacks on NFC North teams. I'm pondering this because I was like, wait a minute, Mitch Trubisky, but Mitch was in his second year. Fields will be the first Bears rookie quarterback to start against Rodgers. Okay, that's right, because Mitch Trubisky was in his second year. It took me a second. Now, if I would have been on the Tape Never Lies network, which by the way, I know like whenever I do this, of course, if anybody's listening to this, first of all, a couple of things here. Anybody who's listening to this on the Adam Rank podcast that you can download and subscribe and all that stuff, thank you for doing that. Please rate, subscribe, share, do whatever. Thank you for that. If you're watching on YouTube as we stream this live, I know there's no Bear fans here because the Tape Never Lies network for the second consecutive week, we're going head to head. I have the worst planning of anybody. Draft Dr. Phil, Shane, those guys do an excellent job. Probably going to dive much deeper into this Packers-Bears game than I'm going to be allotted here or allow here or anything like that. But I do want to say a couple of words about the Bears and the Packers because that's my team, number one. Number two, for the Grossi posse. Yep, Tom Grossi was kind enough to allow me to go on his show, which is going to download, which will be available on Thursday, October 14th. Depending on when you're listening to this, it'll already have dropped. If you're streaming live with us on Wednesday night, then it will be out tomorrow. I do want to say this about the Bears and the Packers, and it was cool being on with Grossi because him, Aaron Nagler, great guys, great Packer fans. I appreciate everything about them. They're awesome. You can have rational conversations, and let's be rational about what our expectations are with the Chicago Bears, with the Packers, and what we have with this game coming up. Now, number one, I think that Justin Fields has been playing very well. The game plan in Las Vegas was executed to perfection. Strong defense, strong running game. When Justin needed to make plays, he made them. The third down pass to Darnell Mooney. The follow-up play on first down to Cole Kmet. Both of those great plays. In addition to that, this has happened in each of the last 2 weeks. His best pass has gone incomplete. 2 weeks ago, it was to Cole Kmet, and actually there was an Allen Robinson play that was overturned. This week, it was another toss to Allen Robinson that he just couldn't haul in. It happens. And the best throws that he's making are going incomplete. At some point, he's going to start connecting on those, and this offense is going to be even better. But realistically, the formula that's working right now is sustainable because the defense is playing a lot better. The Chicago Bears lead the NFL in sacks. Sean Desai has got that pass rush back and working. And so you look at it and you're like, okay, the pass rush is back. And you look at the offensive line for the Green Bay Packers. Now, but Bonaducci, whoever, that one guy who's been out since the end of last year, he's not available to come back. They've had other injuries on the offensive line. So this is an opportunity for the Bears to really put some pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And there have been times in the past where this Bears defense has really harangued Aaron Rodgers. And they've gone out of the way. They got some pressure and frustrated him a little bit. Now it's still Aaron Rodgers. It's still scary. Like even if you go back to the back sack game in 2018, I remember up until the point to where A.D. Jackson made that interception, I was still worried about it. So I'm not fooling anybody. I'm not saying that we're going to blow out the Packers or we're going to do anything like that. The Bears should be not only in this game, I'm going into this game with the expectation that they are going to win. And I know that you will see my picks out there and people will be like, oh my God, you really think the Bears can win? Of course I do. Of course I think the Bears can win. It's stupid not to. This is a vulnerable Packers team who's been very fortunate to escape in the last couple of weeks. Although it is funny, like people on Twitter like, oh yeah, our team's banged up. We're still winning. Like, well, holy shit, let's cancel the game then. Let's stop playing because some dude on Twitter, actually this is on Instagram, said that the Packers are going to win. I don't know what to tell you. I think the Bears are going to show up. And honestly, I think Justin Fields is making the plays that he needs to make. Damian Williams, Khalil Herbert, have looked very good running the football. Darnell Mooney's making plays. Justin Fields is making tight window throws. He's not being conservative. He's not out there playing scared. He's been playing pretty good. If you want to listen to Sirius XM NFL Fantasy, now they'll tell you that Justin Fields sucks. I don't care. When you look at it as a quarterback in the NFL who can win games, Justin Fields, the only rookie quarterback with a winning record so far. So I'm not sitting here and conceding that as a loss by any stretch of the imagination. And I think that it's interesting too that we're now at a crossroads with the Green Bay Packers. For as much as everybody is talking about the last dance, and this is maybe the last opportunity for Aaron Rodgers to make a run for it. Devontae Adams, probably not going to be a member of the team next year. I don't know if they're going to be able to pay him or anything like that. But at the same time, it's a new verse for the Chicago Bears. We're just starting it. We're just starting our run and our ascension with Justin Fields. So I look at this situation. It's very like it's not quite Shawn Michaels delivering a super kick to Ric Flair in WrestleMania, but we're getting pretty close. And this is a great opportunity. I think that a lot of Bears fans got a little bit, high on their hubris. At least I did when Justin Fields was drafted and talking wanting to beat the Packers. As a sports fan, that's exactly what you want. Like, you want to get over on the Packers by beating Aaron Rodgers. You don't want it to be like, we're good now because Aaron Rodgers left the division. Let's send him out of the division. Let's make him want to go play in Pittsburgh, or let's make him go want to play in Las Vegas or wherever he's going to end up. Like, let's force the issue. Now, ultimately, we want to get one of those wins in Lambeau, but at the same time, this is a winnable game. I don't understand why people think that it's an automatic conclusion that the Packers are just going to win. It just feels different. If you were to talk to me after the Browns game, yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe I would have been like, yeah, like same old ass. What are we doing? But now, and I know it's just been the Lions, and I know last week it was against the Raiders who are having their own issues, and I get it. Like, I know Mike Mayock today tried to say like, oh, this wasn't hanging over the team. Like it kind of was. Like, let's not be stupid. But the Bears still went out there and executed their game plan. That much we can say. So I think that it's very winnable. And you know what? We're going to start to build something here. I think that the expectation level has now shifted. Like, hey, like, okay. And what the most interesting thing, and I'm jealous of all of you that are coming in right now and being like, hey, I'm going to be at the game this weekend. I hope it, I don't know. I don't know why we wouldn't have the expectation of winning. I know that everybody wants to bury the coach. And I think that you know what, if you listen tomorrow to Tom Grossi and me, we talk about the coaching situation. And I know that Matt Nagy has weathered it over the last couple of weeks, maybe the last couple of years. I will tell you this, talking to people who are insiders, like real insiders, Matt Nagy is a good dude. We don't have to worry about anything. Like, no, that's always one of the things like, hey, is Matt Nagy a good dude? And they're like, oh my God, Matt Nagy is like a great guy. We don't have to worry about any emails about Matt Nagy coming out. Like, you know what? Like, I get it. His ego gets in the way and he wants to call plays, but we're not going to have to worry about any emails. I'll just leave it at that. And that whole thing. I know. I don't want to. Okay. I didn't want to come in and talk. I didn't want to talk about Gruden or anything that happened over the weekend, but good Lord. What whatever. We don't need to talk about. Let's not bring in the unpleasantness. Let's talk about Packer week. And by the way, I noticed too that Aaron Rodgers has been coming out and saying complimentary things. He comes out and he talks about like, oh, the defense is playing good. Their fans are great. They don't care for me much. Don't show me a lot of respect. And I'm like, I appreciate what Aaron Rodgers is saying. And I mean, ultimately, like, we don't know Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I've actually met him once and he was very nice to me. We did a little bit. He played along. He was great. But I still want to hate him. Like, I wish he doesn't have to lean into it because he's got the advantage of being the guy who's gotten over on us all the time. So he can be magnanimous. It's not like Tom Brady with Nick Foles, who you can tell he just hates him. Just hates him. I hope we send Nick Foles out. No, I don't want to do that. We're going to get our ass. No, but listen. My thing is that I really want to hate Aaron Rodgers, and he was being super nice. And you know what? I don't care. I'm still showing photos of the back sack, and I'm still talking shit. I'm trying not to get like too personal because I don't think that's fair. Like, I know, and I've done it too, but it's like, okay, but like as a spirited rivalry, and it feels like we can be, and honestly, it feels a little bit different now that our quarterback, and I'm not saying that Justin Fields is on Aaron Rodgers level right now, but it's like we have a quarterback that we can rally around, that we can feel pretty good about, that just makes it feel different. Like, okay, like no matter what happens on Sunday, we still have a quarterback and we know that we're rising. The Packers are on their descent. This might be the last year of Aaron Rodgers. We know that we have a future with Justin Fields, which is a nice little thing to have in your back pocket. That doesn't mean I want to lose on Sunday. That doesn't mean I won't be completely pissed off and morose if we lose, but at least we have that in our back pocket, something we can lean on, some hope for the future. And it's really weird to me, like looking at this Bears team, and I know that I don't know the nuances of the salary cap and everything like that. There is so much to be excited about. Because you look at going from the opening of the show, talking about the Los Angeles Chargers, think about where they were last year. Like, they did not make the playoffs last year. They were not a great football team by any stretch of the imagination, but they had Justin Herbert, and you're like, okay, that's going to be a good team eventually. Let's fix the offensive line. Let's make some tweaks. Then we're going to be ready to roll. And I think the Bears are in a very similar situation. And they've already started, reworking the offensive line. We've used 2 draft picks on guys who are injured right now. But at some point, I expect them to play this season and be a factor for this team. So looking at next year, we can be like, hey, it's just going to be a couple of tweaks. We don't have a first round pick, but we'll get a second round guy. We'll get somebody to play opposite of Jalen Johnson. We'll make some tweaks to the offensive line. We might have to replace Allen Robinson, but you know what? I think Ryan Pace has shown that he finds good players. I mean, think about this. Like, think about the guys, like signing Damian Williams was great. Drafting Khalil Herbert was great. Darnell Mooney, Gibson, Jalen Johnson himself, like Roquan Smith, for missing out on guys like, and spending so much draft capital for guys like for Mitch Trubisky and Floyd. The Bears still end up getting a lot of good drafted players. And I think that Tevin Jenkins is going to end up being good. The kid out of UCLA Larry's going to end up being pretty good. Ryan Pace does a really nice job. And it's going to be up to Matt Nagy to show over the next couple of weeks that he is going to be the person who can take us to the next level. Because you do get bogged down at some point. Now, I'm not expecting, this team to win 13 games. But if they're 9-8, and you're like, where are we going with Nagy? I think that Ryan Pace has bought himself some time that somebody else might not have. I'm just saying. But anyways, it's Packer week. That's all we care about. I just hope that it's going to be a good game. And I think that I listen, and I see you. I see what you're talking about. Listen, we're being rational right here. I think it's a very rational expectation to win this game. I'm not saying we're going to smoke them. I'm not, and it doesn't feel like it has to be fluky. If you think about last week's game, if the Bears go out there, put pressure on Aaron Rodgers, hold the Packers to, let's say, 21 to 24 points, I think that's a game the Bears can win. And I think that fans should walk into this contest believing that this is a very winnable game. And we don't have to talk any sort of noise on the Packers or anything like that. I think that this Bears team is better than a lot of people thought. And I think this weekend we're going to go out there and we're going to show it. So I'm sorry we did get one fantasy note in there. Start Brandon Cooks. The Chargers are good. The Bears are going to win. Start Brandon Cooks. That's what I needed you to take away from this weekend. Go to the Tape Never Lies Network. They do a great job. They're going to be hitting home for anybody who's streaming live with us right now. Go to the Tape Never Lies Network. For everybody who's downloaded this podcast, thank you so much for doing so. Share it with a friend. Good luck. Bear down. And if the Bears win, I'll see you on Sunday. Thank you. No, seriously.